Hello, my name is Mike Florin, and I'm the owner of Low Cost Mortgage. Today's your weekly update for October 8th, 2025. Let's go over rates first. I've got a little notepad here. Rates, relatively speaking, are about the same as they were last week. We're going to go in a little bit more depth than that a little bit later in the video, but conventionals right at around 6 or 6.1, puts an APR of 6.3 or 6.4-ish. It depends. But if you want a conventional loan at right around 6, you're going to need a longer contract. That investor is just a little bit slower. Longer contract, what does that mean? Maybe 4.5, 5 weeks. See, the more time you give a lender, the cheaper outlets they can use, because those cheaper outlets tend to be slower. So you give them more time means better deal. FHA is right around, FHA came down a little bit from 5.5 to 5.3. That's an APR of right around 6. That investor is pretty quick, so you just need 3 weeks on the contract on that one. But make sure if you have less than 4 weeks that your borrowers, your buyers, they are actually moving fast on documents. In fact, right now we're in the middle of working on one where we're closing it in about a week and a half, but the buyers are on it. We ask for something, they call right away, they give us documents. It's great. But yeah, if your borrowers are fast, you can go fast. The deal can go fast. VA is roughly about the same, 5.5 on the rate. Now, let's talk about the 10-year Treasury for a little bit. And we're going to talk about rate movements. I'm going to pop open 3 charts, and I'm going to put them kind of next to each other. So let's look at September 1st, and I'm going to draw a line for only the first 3 weeks of September, and I want you to see the reaction. In September, the Fed dropped the rate. This is September of 2024. The Fed dropped their rate. Look at the little pointer here. And then the line that goes up, that's the first 3 weeks of reaction to the Fed decreasing their rate. Now I'm going to add in December. Look at the little arrow. That's when the Fed announced a decrease. And look at the first 3 weeks. It went up for 3 weeks. Now let's look at this year in September. This year in September, the Fed decreased or announced a decrease in the Fed rate. Rates initially jumped up that first week, and then they stabilized, flattened out, and they came back down just a little bit. So rates are actually close to where they were on the day before the Fed announced their decrease, and that's actually a pretty good sign for rates moving forward. Now, I'm going to throw open a bigger chart here. I want you to see this. There's a trend line I'm drawing, and that trend line is roughly where rates are. If you were to take a line, a straight line, and draw that line, that's roughly where rates are, but look where the 10-year Treasury is sitting. Roughly where that line is. Well, what does that mean? Most likely, and I can't say this with 100% certainty, but most likely that means that rates will continue the slow downward march. Now, you could say that there's several things affecting this. The government shutdown, that's big downward pressure, okay? You also have seasonal rates, downward pressure. You have the expectation of another cut coming soon, downward pressure again, and you have data coming out that is showing things that are going to help bring interest rates down, unemployment, things of that nature. Now, I'm not going to get into specifics because this video would last hours long if we go into each individual little thing, and we're just too busy for that. But there's some key thing, there's a key concept that realtors probably need to know and understand. This last week on Monday, now it took me a few days to get this video out, and there's a reason for that. I wanted to see where the rates were going to be, where the stabilization was, and we picked up a lot of deals on Monday and Tuesday. And those deals that we picked up, we were sending fees worksheets out. The competitors were sending fees worksheets. The borrowers were comparing, which is a great thing to happen. The realtors were helping them compare, which is another great thing. And we were beating them. So we picked up quite a few loans this week so far. In fact, we're picking up enough loans where our November looks like it is going to be as good as August, and this October actually might beat August, which is great. Good loans for everybody, or more loans is better for everybody. But the big thing is compare. You as a realtor, you as a borrower, whoever's watching this channel, when you're going to get a deal, when you're going to get a comparison quote from, or you're shopping for a mortgage, and you're looking at seeing if you're going to get the better deal, you always want to call 2 or 3 different lenders. You always want to. They're going to send you a fees worksheet. I'm going to pop open a fees worksheet real quick here. The only thing you need to worry about comparing is the rate and the cost of the rate. or what is your interest rate, and what are the Block A fees? That's going to give you a really quick comparison of an apples to apples quote, or an apples to apples comparison of different quotes to see which one's actually most likely the better deal. Now you can look at sections B through J, and mostly those line up. We don't need to worry about those for initial quoting purposes or comparisons, but you really need to compare what is my rate, what is my cost of rate. And in every single deal, almost every single deal that we picked up so far this week, we're beating the other lender by $5, $6, $7, $8, $12, $20,000. It's ridiculous. Now, I'll get more comparison videos out, but you know, the few that we have up seem to be working pretty good. I mean, I could almost film one for almost every deal that we work on, but at the same time, there's a point where it doesn't make sense anymore. Now, for deals that are coming through, there's a lot of realtors that have a lot of listings. We see that. We're the preferred lender for a few different real estate outfits where they're on the listing side and the buyers might have some issues, or maybe they're trying to back out because their rate's too high. They say, hey, call Mike at Low Cost Mortgage, or call David, or call somebody over here at Low Cost Mortgage. We give them a quote, and then suddenly the deal is saved, and we jump in, we close the deal. Typically, we're jumping in on those and closing them in 2.5, 3 weeks. It just depends. But the realtors that have a lot of listings, what we're seeing is when they pick up a buyer, that buyer's money right now. The listing, money in the future, hopefully it sells. Listings are kind of stagnant right now. But that buyer, just like we've been talking about for about a year now, buyer's market, that buyer is money right now if you just find them the right home. So anyways, interest rate wise, I think we're going to be roughly about the same, or that slow downward march over time. It might go up. It depends on if anything ridiculous happens in the federal government or any data that comes out that might flip it around, or many policy changes. But for the most part, we're not perceiving that. We're not seeing that. We're seeing the data and everything lining up with that nice, slow downward trend in rates. Okay. So a few realtors, expect to probably get a few more deals this winter. If you're out there prospecting, like 80% of your time should be is prospecting. But if you're prospecting, pick up some more deals between now and December. It's pretty good likely. It's highly likely. Tapping your old database to see if you can get a deal or two out of them, because rates are a lot lower than they were just a few months ago, or from January. They are lower, and they're just continuing the little march. Maybe helping getting somebody off the fence. If we can help you with that, just give us a call. We can quote you and your buyers out on the phone in about 2 or 3 minutes. It's actually really easy. So anyways, have a great day. Go out and sell. Go out and close some deals with us, with anybody else. Doesn't matter. Just get out there and sell and do business, make business happen, make some money. Anyways, have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.